Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Yes, it's true. The boss switch is back. Unfortunately, uh, the man, the legend that is Petey York had an unexpected situation crop up on his neck of the woods. So we wish him the very best. But until he returns, you're gonna have to put up with me. Joining me, as always, is the writer brother from another mother, Pollo Zapatos. Pollo Zapatos, how you doing today?
Oh, muy bien, dude. Honestly, yesterday at work was a lot. There was a lot of stuff going on that I didn't care for.
Okay.
And today, there wasn't. And I've been jonesing to get some podcasting in. There's a lot to talk about in this modern pop culture.
There really is a scary amount going on today, and it's actually pretty shocking. I'm just going to get everything set up here. I just want to make sure that our Discord gets a little clink here, letting everyone there know that we are live.
You're here to play, here to do the show. Join us, please. Come and visit.
Yeah.
And while we slowly but surely get people to come in, I think we should discuss something that's near and dear to my heart.
Uh-oh.
The Supreme Court's decision that price gouging and monopolies are no longer synonymous.
That's interesting.
I don't know which Supreme Court made this decision, Ronald Reagan, but idiots. And I think 3 of them are still alive sitting on the court, or at least Ginsburg, she passed.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 are on their way to retire. And, well, look, man, I am not one for the government to jump in and tell people what to do. But I am one for my tax dollars effectively preventing people from taking advantage of me. And that's where our first article, Netflix, comes in.
Yeah.
They failed to offer anything new. Their year catalog and review, I mean, the last good thing I heard coming out of Netflix was The Witcher. And everything else that I find on there is a pleasant surprise, mostly backlogged by a ton of IP that's notoriously good and has nothing to do with Netflix. But
I will say that Squid Game Season 2 was pretty good, and I'm really liking that they did Ranma 1/2. The remake of Ranma 1/2. It's been really good.
I've heard that the remake for Ranma 1/2 has been very carefully localized so as to not hurt anybody's feelings and take away from the majority of the original Japanese intent.
I don't know about that. I've watched the original series as a dub and as a subtitle, and I'm watching the dub of the series on Netflix, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I feel it's doing a very good job of recapping with the intent of the original.
Now, would you say it's doing an extra $10 a month good job?
On its own, no.
And this
just being honest.
There was a time, dude, there was The Punisher, there was Daredevil, there was Luke Cage, which tried, there was Jessica Jones on fire, there was Iron Fist, which oof, there was Defenders, which oof, but like that was a time when you go, hey, we're raising the price $2. I go, yeah, you've earned it, boy.
Yeah.
You can ask for my money. But when your biggest thing in the last 6 years has been adding Bollywood.
Yeah, I agree. Look,
they haven't added anything. They haven't created anything. And then the things they did create, they butchered so bad that the people that actually wanted to join and be a part of it, shout out to Henry Cavill and The Witcher, where'd they go? Oh, that's right. Executives
they got driven off.
Who are price gouging their consumers for the sake of, let's remember, what is it? What was that word? shareholder come, right?
Well, shareholder value, but yes.
No, shareholder come, because at this point, dude, nobody's gaining anything. There is no value in their product. It is 100% getting your shareholders off. And that's it.
Well, at any rate, I absolutely stand by that when Netflix was $7.99 and at the start of this equation, it was absolutely worth it. As the price keeps jumping up, I'm finding it harder and harder to justify.
I'm going to be honest, it's not harder to justify because I love to be able to talk my smack. As somebody who, from the moment he turned 18 and could afford his own Netflix and has been paying for streaming and watching my prices go up as I continuously only get told, run from the ads. We'll offer you nothing better, but we can make this a whole lot worse, you poor piece of shit.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately,
the loyalty that I have provided Netflix. I mean, I was part of the ones that told my dad, we have to get this service. It's better than Blockbuster. It's better than Hollywood DVD. That loyalty has been expunged, over milked, oversaturated, and the return on investment is next to nil. So like when I do have to put one of these streamers up for the chopping block, Netflix is near the top of my list. Just like Amazon Prime. I only have Prime because it comes with the service. I've never watched an ad-supported video. I actually love going to Amazon Prime, turning on a video I want to watch, watching the ad show up, turning off Amazon Prime, and then watching that video magically through
other means.
I call it what's that one that you do that's really cool, like
format swapping?
No, what's it when you're sending your body out and you're watching?
Oh, astrally projecting, my friend.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, except digitally receiving.
Fair enough. So I thought it was this graph was kind of interesting, right? We have the standard with ads, the basics, the standard HD with 2 screens, and the premium, right, with the 4K with 4 screens at any one time. And I thought this was interesting, just watching how the prices have gone up, right? But we haven't really seen any specific jump in the quality along the way with the pricing.
Yeah, no, if you were to put this graph against their release cycle, it would be exactly inverse.
Yep.
The quality of the product has plummeted while the cost of the product has increased. It's almost like these corporate execs are 100% cancer on their companies. And the fact that the CEOs do nothing about it goes to show how little a CEO deserves in terms of salary. Let's just cut everybody's wages at the top. And I 1000% guarantee you Netflix will start generating way more good quality content.
And let's be honest,
that to the point that like I'll be the CEO that goes in and cuts their pay cuts and doesn't take any of the money. Like I will go in for $45,000 a year and I will fire all of the other executives if you guys don't have the stones to do so. But I guarantee you my shareholder profits for the first quarter will be the highest the company's ever seen.
Now, I also do want to point out that like part of the problem, I think, is Netflix somehow won the streaming wars without really trying.
That's kind of like saying Facebook won the social media wars. They have 2.3 billion users because they were the first to saturate the market.
Yeah,
Netflix
but I mean,
did the same thing, but like now they have solely been coasting off of a form of IP sharing that they invented.
Yeah.
Right? Like they had to start leasing IP to get people to let them stream their videos on Netflix. They invented that. So of course they're going to benefit from that. But just because you invented the canal doesn't mean you get to make all the money. See Panama.
Yeah, well, there we go. Okay, so I did think it was interesting. I do think that, by effectively doing nothing and winning the streaming wars, they've realized that now they hold a virtual monopoly on the situation and can charge whatever they want.
Not just a virtual, a literal monopoly while simultaneously price gouging their consumers. Shout out to the, I don't know, Department of Justice. Why don't you guys do literally any justice and protect the consumers? That's the whole reason we have the Consumer Protection Bureau, and none of you have protected anything.
Mm-hmm. So, moving
My
on.
rallying cry. That's why I was so motivated to talk about it. Like, if we the consumers don't speak up, Netflix gets to keep doing this. But there was a time in the past where talking smack was enough to get somebody to get their act right.
Yeah.
The only thing that's changed, they told us we're not allowed to be mean to them anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
We can change that. We don't have to be nice. We don't have to play by any of their rules. They're the bullies. Let's set their act right.
Okay, let's move on. Conversely, 2025 is looking like a really good year for Xbox games to Game Pass. What are you doing? Go away, Verge. All right. It's gonna be stupid, so give me a sec. There we are. So Microsoft effectively is in a good spot in terms of its game releases planned for 2025. And they've purchased a good number of rights to games to be able to continue with the Game Pass, making sure that a lot of the games from 2024 and 2023 that were very popular are going to be on the pass. And the only thing is really,
but the Game Pass is the exact opposite of Netflix.
Right?
And it's funny because Microsoft is the exact same as Netflix. But for some reason, Game Pass was like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to be universally available regardless of the console wars. And we're going to collect, because we can afford it, all of the IP we want. See Bethesda, the acquisition of Bethesda, Activision, Blizzard, all of those giant powerhouses that have been.
Yeah, I mean, really, the only Zapatos, you got muted somehow there. Really, the only games that are not going to be showing up on Game Pass that did really well for the last 2 years are going to be the ones that Sony has specifically locked down. Everything else looks like it's going to be coming.
Yeah, and that's the coolest part about it, though, is like, this is how you get all the gamers to come and just play the game.
John, there's something really wrong with your audio. It just kind of went full goofy there. Yeah, dude, we're just getting a buzzing sound. So while John looks at his audio here, yeah, I just wanted to say how absolutely freaking amazing that this year's Game Pass looks, and the games that Microsoft plans to bring to the Xbox for 2025. This might be the year that if you were waffling on getting Game Pass for the year, on whether you get it or not, this might be the year to get it. It's a really good way to sample. There you go.
I'm back. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a great. I don't like being a corporate shill, but like, this is one of the few things that made it so that my son and I could enjoy the TV at the same time. Like, being able to play Xbox on my iPad while he was watching his Bluey, that was amazing. And now that like I can afford a computer, it's like harder to notice. But then as soon as I was like, you know what I really want to do? I want to play some of my Xbox games while he's playing on the Xbox. And because I had Xbox or Game Pass Ultimate, it just ported my saves.
Yeah.
Like that is that's added value. Name another, like, even when if I try to play Cyberpunk on my Xbox and then switch over to my Steam profile, nope, gotta play on new saves. Right? If I try to do certain games like that, like, you don't get to do that. Netflix or Xbox is over here like, not only are we the Netflix of games, you get to play whatever we can get on our catalog, but also you can hop your consoles. You can go PC, Xbox, Xbox, PC, PC, Xbox, depending on which one your parents are letting you play today. And you didn't lose anything. You didn't double your progress twice. No, you got to focus on your games your way. And I appreciate that. So
Yeah,
again,
and I think if we're going to show companies that, hey, we think you're doing a good job, we need to put our money where our mouth is.
every time, I don't have a problem hating on one company for being run by tyrants and shouting out another company for successfully using their tyranny for good.
Yeah.
Like, there is a such thing as benevolent tyrants. I don't like tyranny, period. But I do love benevolent tyrants.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't, right?
They're
Okay.
the worst.
So,
They're the best of the worst, I should say.
yeah. Okay. So, gush over. Ariana DeBose is an astronaut at war in trailer for space station set thriller ISS. So, this looks like it's going to be something really neat. It's the film takes place in the near future, and at first, life aboard the ISS seems like a study in international cooperation, right? American astronauts are sharing tight quarters with their Russian colleagues, and together they quickly bond over their shared scientific backgrounds. But when a massive war breaks out down below on Earth, the Americans receive a new mission from ground control: take over the space station by any means necessary. So I think this could be really good. And this feels like the like a hard science fiction kind of movie, like a speculative, like, let's make it really crunchy, the science is real, but let's have it be action packed. I took a look at some of the writing behind the scenes. They did speak with NASA. They did speak with the European Space Agency. They weren't allowed to speak with the Russian cosmonauts space agency at the time because the war in Ukraine. But I think this is an interesting piece, and I think it could be a lot of fun.
What was it? What was the one where they did space, but it was also that Godzilla America movie? Cloverfield.
Cloverfield, yeah.
Paradox. Already
Yep.
seen it. I mean, I am a huge sucker for like space combat. I loved what was it with Brad Pitt? He did with the moon combat one.
Yep.
That was so cool. I love zero G combat. The ISS, a lot of people, and they'll probably make it pretty obvious in this film, but like, it's the size, the living quarters, the living portion of the station that anybody can actually function in is probably like 14 quadcons, which is
Nothing.
a medium warehouse, but it's only 10 feet tall.
Yep.
So maybe 200 feet, but then you've got gear all through it and it's all tunneled and stuff like that. So maybe 1,200 operating square feet.
It's
It's
got to
a small
feel like
apartment.
living in a habitrail, right? Like, one of those
But at
little
the
like
same time,
hamster
like,
mazes.
take over the station by any means necessary. We cut off their oxygen.
Yeah.
That was it. Everybody's dead. Like,
Well, we get in suits, we vent the O2 and wait.
Yeah, for like,
And
what,
then
2.5 minutes?
Yeah, and then refill, and we're good.
And then all you do is, like, you don't even have to do 2.5. You do 1:59, so that they sufficiently fall asleep and, maybe some brain damage, which, kind of the goal. If you're trying to take out your enemy, why not make them dumber?
Yeah,
But
and then
then at
just
the
duct
same
tape
time,
to a wall or whatever and carry on.
you're done. Seriously, like it's compelling and it'll probably look amazing, but if it doesn't take 20 minutes, bullshit.
Well, I mean, we don't know, right? We could wind up in the situation where maybe they can't get to the oxygen controls. Maybe the Russians beat them to it. We'll have to see. But I think
Dude,
it
even
could
then,
be.
it's more than anything, it's just like one of them. I mean, the amount of training astronauts go through for like
True.
one of them, like, I'm gonna vent the oxygen. I can hold my breath for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Great. Now everybody like, oh wait, we can all do that. And then the other astronauts are like, well, we have to get to the controls, which will cost us oxygen, and they'll be meditating at the controls, holding in their oxygen so they can just flip it on and off at us.
Oh. Dude, like I said, this could actually be interesting.
Could be. I mean, I'm gonna watch it. I'm not saying I'm
Right.
not. I'm also saying like could also be not interesting.
Right. And I mean, we could have some really interesting dramatic back and forth about, well, should we really do this?
Dude, honestly, to me, I think that would be the most fun portion of this. It's like your government is calling you.
Right.
The guys that messed everything up and couldn't figure out how to be nice downstairs on Earth are telling you, the super intelligent ones who got off the Earth, what to do. Maybe ignore them.
Right? Like there's a whole
lost at war. We're reshuffling the deck. We'll try again.
Right, but then you also have a little bit of a
Right,
but then you also have a bit of a prisoner's dilemma too, right? Because like, what messages have the Russians gotten?
Yeah, right? It's tit for tat every day of the week. And that's why I say it's like, why this is the number one thing about the United States military that has pissed off every other military in the entire world. It's that all of the orders and all of the regulations don't matter. No. When the sergeant tells you what to do, you say, aye, aye, sergeant, and go to work. And if lieutenant has a problem with it, he can take it up with sergeant. I follow sergeant's orders.
Yep.
Be a good enough lieutenant that sergeant follows your orders, but sergeant is daddy, whether lieutenant wants him to be or not. Just because lieutenant went to school doesn't make him better. Sergeant's the one that did the work. Sergeant's the one that earned the title.
Yep.
Lieutenant graduated. Congrats, bud.
Yeah. Hey, man, we all know what it's like to take orders from the, a second, well, up here we call them lieutenant, but really we call them second idiots. But anyway.
Oh, we just call them banana bars, lieutenant.
Yeah.
Second's my favorite.
Yeah.
Second.
All right, let's move on. No, Will Smith will not star in The Matrix 5 despite cryptic teaser. So, believe it or not, they've decided to skip all the other Matrix movies, 2, 3, and 4, and they're making a Matrix 5. And there were a lot of
S?
What?
5 loaded.
Yeah. So there was a theory going around based on a very cryptic video on Instagram related to the Matrix that Will Smith might be taking over as the lead and that we weren't going to see Keanu Reeves' character any further. But despite this speculation among the media, fandoms, and active social media, the actor is not involved in the new Matrix movie that is currently in development. Entertainment Weekly has managed to confirm this. On Monday afternoon, Smith's official Instagram page shared a video with a message about filmmaking. Sibling duo the Wachowskis once offered him the role of Neo prior to the casting of Keanu Reeves. Smith ultimately turned down the job to work on Wild Wild West, which, as we all know, was great success in comparison.
I love that movie. I know most people don't, but I love Will Smith.
Fair. I'm not. Okay, but you have to admit, in terms of box office revenue, The Matrix has made a little bit more money than Wild Wild West.
See, I don't care about the money. I
Fair.
care about which actor got to go on to do more of his favorite things right out the gate. Will Smith
Okay.
did Wild Wild West, Independence Day, bunch of other things that he was having fun doing. Keanu got streamlined. Just held down for a little while. He's back. He's making his moves, but I think he learned that from Will rather than vice versa.
Okay, well,
mostly because like Will Smith was one of those actors that was like, I'm going to be in every action thriller, and then he's like, okay, I did that. Now I'm going to go try and be in every mind-bending, sad, heartbreak movie. And then he did that. And then he was like, I'm going to go be a tennis coach. And then he did that. And then he slapped Chris Brown. Like, the guy's just doing whatever he wants. And I love that behavior. I don't think it should go unpunished, but like, to each their own. And that man has done his own. Well, and his wife's bidding, but a lot of his own.
I also think that, my sources inside Hollywood basically say that as it stands right now, Will Smith couldn't get a job as a singing busboy. So the fact that they were considering him as...
Well, that's what you get for playing in the system. Like,
that's it.
You don't get to take swings and then go, oh, nobody wants to play with me.
Yeah.
Go to a different school, bud.
That's it.
Or, you have enough money, build your own. God, I hate that. Like, that is one of the few things that I do love about the model that Joe Rogan represents. He has literally never once sacrificed his identity to maintain a job.
Yeah, I mean, look, like the guy or not, at least you can say he is always authentic to himself.
And like him or not, you can at least say that's a viable business / life plan.
Absolutely.
At the end of every day, he goes, no, I missed all of those rage comments because I don't have to care. None of you make my money. I do. And that's what we should all be doing. And that's why it's like, what did you do wrong, Will? You thought you were making your own money your own way, but you weren't. You were playing their system and their game. And that's the part that Keanu knew. That Keanu only takes the roles he wants and doesn't care about the money anymore.
Yeah.
Because that's the number one rule of the game. Do what you want, but remember where your money's coming from.
Yeah. I also think it doesn't hurt that, Keanu Reeves is considered one of the nice guys in Hollywood too. Like, he's just a good human being, and, people don't associate him with, public missteps, for lack of a better term.
Dude, and that's why I brought up all those things about Will Smith. There was one mistake.
There was.
And that one mistake was 100% avoidable. Like,
I would argue there's actually been... Well, hold on. I would actually argue there's been 2 or 3. And that's being so fervent in helping his son get work. Because I think his son is not the same level of actor as he is. And I think putting so much behind getting him roles has actually hurt his own career.
Again, that's a parenting thing. You parent your kids that you want to parent. As a parent, I believe I'm going to try to bestow all of my gifts upon my son.
And don't get me wrong, I probably would have done the same thing. The problem is, I think it's costly.
I would never. My whole, it's my favorite thing about the Marines. It is not an inheritance. You do not gain that trait by your daddy going and getting that trait. If you want it, you have to go earn that title yourself. And I fully believe that. Now, I will make him the kid that can do the Marines before he's 15, do boot camp every single day of the week if he wanted to, because he doesn't care about that life. But that doesn't mean he earns the title until he goes and puts in the work. And I think that's why I say parenting's a whole other game. If you want your son to be you, Will, raise you, Will. Don't make everybody just accept your son because you love him. That's not how life works.
Get him the best acting coaches. Yeah. get him the best acting coaches, get him the
Be
right
the
people.
best acting coach.
Oh, there's
You
that
know
too.
all of the secrets. Like, oh yeah, so if you go to school, they're going to teach you this. That's not how it works. When you're actually on set, here's what I do, son.
Yeah,
You're
I mean,
the only dude that can do that, and you didn't.
yeah.
Everything else is nepotism except for imparting your gifts. When you give the trade, the skills of the trade to your child, that's love, care, child rearing. When you force the trade to accept your child because you failed to raise your child to be up to the trade standards, that's nepotism.
And that
See
doesn't
all of Wall Street.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Severance creator explains season 2's innie and outie opening episodes. Second episode of season 2 is intense at first with an exclusively unsevered look at Leon's employees. So we are kind of covering Severance in videos that we are posting. I would say that the hype machine for season 2 is in full swing, and I think for good reasons. I think Severance season 1 was a massive hit, especially for fledgling Apple.
We knew when we picked it up on episode 1.
True.
Like, I'm gonna toot my own horn just like I tooted Xboxes. I did call it. I said, This is a show we should cover. You guys agreed. We were right. Season 2 is now coming along, and people are like, oh my God, have you guys heard of Severance? And we're like, yeah, we told you about it. Check out our show.
Yeah.
Seriously, check out our episodes. We did a lot about it.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, the most interesting piece is how much the Hollywood Reporter, this is 3 weeks in a row, the Hollywood Reporter has had Severance-related news. They are really into this now. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad to see that the rest of the world is catching up to the Writer brothers.
Honestly, that's why you guys should be here. We'll tell you first.
That's it. So
honestly, though, but for these 2 episodes,
yeah, it's really
get ready for my discussion on episode 2, because episode 1 was a lot of fun, but episode 2 is why the show is so worth its like everything people keep saying about it. Yeah, we were right, but also like it's still more fun. I cannot wait for the next episodes. I'm hooked again immediately. And that's back to my first point. Netflix, the guys that are supposed to be the Apple oligopoly that destroys everything it touches with modernity and getting rid of headphone jacks. Somehow they are still only producing quality. I still love Foundation. I know a lot of people fell off. Season 1 and 2, I've watched it 3 times since season 2 came out.
Hey man, if you're loving it, that's what counts, right?
Right, but like that's everything for Apple. I mean, Foundation, For All Mankind, Severance, Lasso. What was the one? Morning Show. Yeah. There's a Loot. Like every single show I've gone to Netflix for, except for Charlie Brown. I just can't get over it. I can't do Charlie Brown. But that's everything fair. Except for Charlie Brown, like Apple's killing it. And again, Netflix, if you're gonna raise my rates, you got to raise your offering. It's not fair. And I am going to claim fair as the problem because it's supposed to be a fair market. This whole quote unquote competitive market is supposed to be beneficial for everyone. And it seems to only be benefiting like 5. Whereas Apple seems to be benefiting everybody. Well, it looks like only 5 people are winning, but their phones are better to the majority of users.
To the majority of users, I would agree. The way I worked in the industry. Okay, so I worked in the telecommunications industry directly with phone company, like with phone manufacturers for 10 years. And this is what I will always say. Okay? Take a look at where the technology started. Okay? With Microsoft, they produced a Windows phone because that's what they knew. And Windows phones are great if you're a Windows power user because you know where everything is, right? Apple, man, the first version of the iPhone really was the iPod. It was basically a toy to play music on. And you know what? I'm going to say this. They are a fantastic toy and a great walled garden. Okay?
Oh,
That's my opinion on the
I do
iPhone.
not think that they are a great walled garden. I think they are a great theme park. They used to be a great walled garden. They used to have like all these things that were bar none, everybody like their product offering has equaled Netflix except for their streaming product quality.
Well, yeah. Now, when I take a look at Android phones, here's what I would say about the Android phones. Android was originally designed for Linux power users so that they could modify anything they wanted and change anything they want to be whatever they want. They are still that way. So if you're willing to spend a little time and learn how, like, if you're the equivalent of a PC, equivalent of a car guy, and you really like souping up your Honda Civic to be like the best drag racer mankind has ever built, Android's for you.
And I mean, honestly, dude, I would take it more along the lines of like Mormonism. Like Apple satiates the masses. Their big goal is to just be user friendly and a beacon of technology.
Yep.
All
right,
the
moving
Mormon
on.
Church is a part of Christianity, and it tries to be a beacon of hope in that Christianity, but they're not changing anything for anybody. This one, Watson, this frustrates me to no end. This feels like the biggest miss on Watson's character
ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, look, for those who don't know, House was designed to be Sherlock Holmes, but in the medical field and American. Okay? Watson had the opportunity to follow that character in like the
inverse?
Yeah.
Where he runs a hospital of Sherlock's?
Yeah.
Because he's a business mind, not a doctor?
Yeah, but herding those cats of Sherlock's would have been a very interesting piece, right? It could have been fun watching him.
Even this would have been the coolest, especially like in modern times. Because if you think about it, Watson was more of like a habitual therapist.
Yep.
Right? So like you could have had Watson as the CEO therapist. And instead of every week he's helping solve medical problems, he's actually helping CEOs deal with high level stress and also helping them find their empathy. Something that our local CEOs need to learn.
And, I thought this had potential, but man, you watch this and you start to realize that they lost the point of the character of Watson so hard. It really does not bear to the themes of Sherlock Holmes anymore. Like, of those books.
Did you watch that one, the Americanization of Sherlock?
A little bit, yeah.
Can't remember what it was called, but they race swapped and gender swapped Watson, and she was more faithful than a show about Watson.
Yeah.
Because it turns out Watson is just a personality, somebody who's willing to support somebody else.
Yep.
And that's where you lost the arc of this show. Who is this Watson supporting? No, we're going to do a very, very deep dive into a supporting character that isn't supporting anyone and hope that sells.
Yeah, it didn't work. And I figured I'd call it out saying, like, guys, normally I love to be the guy that says, hey, go check this out. It's worth viewing. I got to do the opposite here, sadly. All right. This one was kind of interesting, and I thought you would find this kind of cool. So, Marvel Studios is reportedly eyeing Brendan Thwaites to play Cyclops in an upcoming MCU film. Now, for those who are looking at that face going, man, I think I remember this guy. DC did a series called Titans.
I knew this was Robin. Okay, I thought it was Teen Wolf for a second, but I was like, that's not the guy from Teen Wolf.
No, this is the guy who played Robin in Titans. And
Yeah, he's
I
good.
gotta say, he was actually like, having watched all of Titans, I will say he was like the one bright spot in it. Like the writing wasn't great, but his acting was reasonable.
Dude,
Right?
Titans wasn't bad.
It just
The
wasn't great.
world sucked.
Yeah.
Like, it was teenagers trying to be superheroes, trying to be the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And that's not the Titans. Like, I get it. They were technically supposed to be post Dark Knight. And like, I felt like a lot of the characters felt like that, but their superpowers didn't look anything like that. Like, even the other one with Brendan Fraser had more
Doom Patrol. Yeah.
Doom Patrol. And that's it. Like, honestly, because I loved Titans, and I didn't finish it. I know they like did a recent season that I'm behind on.
Okay.
But it was right up there. It was DC's version of Daredevil.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, again, that other one, Doom Patrol, was their Daredevil to Titans being their Jessica Jones.
Yeah. And honestly, I think this is a good casting choice. If we are going to get a new Cyclops, we want a Boy Scout looking dude who knows how to play that.
Acting. I want an Eagle Scout, dude, because that's who Scott was.
Yeah, like when he started, he was definitely the Eagle Scout, goody two shoes guy that the world just kept beating down until he started losing.
No, but he didn't.
No, like in the comics, like post 90s comics.
He, like, I mean, even the 1997, I felt like did an even better Scott Summers than like.
No, like I'm talking 2020 Scott Summers, where he was like offing Professor Xavier.
Right. That bothers me because like you can make that work with the Eagle Scout dynamic, and that to me is like the it is the number one failure of the Boy Scouts. Like, when you let cancer in, you disparage what used to be synonymous with goodness.
Yep.
And that, just because there aren't any real Boy Scouts doesn't mean there aren't real Boy Scouts. Like, they're everywhere. You can find the guys that are Dudley Do Right every day of the week. They exist in every single city we live in. We just have to look for them and then write them. Like,
yeah,
that to me has been the number one writing failure of Superman lately. Is
they haven't really written him as
a paragon.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what Scott Summers is. Scott Summers is way closer to Marvel's Superman than any other character in Marvel at all.
At least in attitude.
In perseverance, in willingness to do what's right, no matter how much it hurts, and no matter how embarrassing it may be, you do the right thing for always. And that's a fun thing to write against. Like, why haven't writers tried to make that guy look horrible and actually still be the good guy? That's a writing challenge. That's how you win a Mary Sue, is you make her seem like she is invincible and everybody loves her, and the world paints her to be a villain. And by the end of the story, we, the audience, are the only ones on her side. Now she's not a Mary Sue. Now she's an actual conflicting human being in this gross world that we support.
Yeah.
But
so otherwise, though, this actor, I think, will be a good pick. The fact that it's an upcoming MCU film, it sounds like we're getting an MCU X-Men.
I hope so. I mean, honestly, though, like, who'd you put in charge?
Yep.
And if you haven't learned anything from Star Wars, one person in charge of an entire universe is not the way to go. You should do head of X-Men, head of Avengers, head of pre-Avengers, head of post-Avengers.
And when you
That
put
way,
them, and when you have those characters in the same story, you put those guys together and they work it out as a compromise. Absolutely.
mm,
All
well, in
right.
that way, when you do mashups and clash-ups, now you have an actual investment from the fan bases on both sides. They're like, who do we want to support louder?
That's
Now
it.
you have audience participation in your advertising scheme.
There you go. All right.
Here we are, the Writer Brothers, giving free advice to billion-dollar companies.
All right. So Steven Spielberg has been making a little bit of a splash this week. The director spoke about the 1982 blockbuster film E.T. alongside star Drew Barrymore as part of the TCM Classic Film Festival, and why it was a hard-fought victory and why he had to work so hard to stop the E.T. sequel. Now, for those that don't know, there was a penned E.T. sequel that was actually going to be a horror movie and
Written by ChatGPT and paid for by big money.
Well, no. This was years before ChatGPT, but it was actually going to be a horror movie, and it was going to have the ETs come back to Earth and invade and terrorize humanity. And it was going to be Elliot trying to work with his friend to save people. That was going to be the story. And Spielberg absolutely put his foot down and said, no way, I can't let this happen. And the studio basically said, well, yeah, but you sold all the rights to us as part of this. So he had to go on like a guerrilla campaign of talking to investors, anyone that they would get on the project. He had to jump in front of and be like, no, this is dumb. It's not going to make any money. Here's why.
Well, dude, that to me is, that's proof of all of everything I've been saying. Somebody who actually does care about their product will go to war to prevent cancerous product from being released in its name.
Yep.
There you go. Everybody that hasn't done it is a failure and not worth their salt.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are times where sometimes you do have to kill your babies. There are, when you're writing a script, scenes you have to be willing to let go of. But
that doesn't apply to selling your darlings to the rich CEOs so that you can get more money.
That's it.
That's kill your darlings. That's what he did. This was penned, which means he probably had some input in the penning. And he was like, nope, that's bad. We shouldn't continue it. I'm done. Call it good.
Yep.
And they were like, it's a sequel to a Spielberg, so we're going to make a bunch of money off of it. And he was like, I'm going to destroy everybody's faith in this product.
Yep.
And they were like, sure. And then he did. Because when you put your money where your mouth is, you're actually fighting for something. But when you just throw money at all your problems and say, I don't have any problems anymore.
Yeah, you're kind of missing the point, aren't you? Yeah. So
that is literally the difference. Spielberg and Kathleen worked together on the first E.T. I am not pulling things out of my ass or pulling from the ether. I'm saying one person actually valued artistic integrity and one person sold out to Disney.
There you go. So there we go. I thought that was interesting. I thought it was an interesting piece of history that the length Spielberg had to go to get that project shut down, I think is a very interesting piece.
It continues to grant credence to everything Spielberg actually put out.
Yeah.
Like, he may have some hard movies, Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull.
Yeah. But you know what, though? I will say this. at the very least, you can say that everything Spielberg has produced, he believed in.
Exactly. And that's a man I respect.
Yeah.
I mean, don't care if everything is perfect. I care that you believed it was good enough.
Yeah. You know, and I'm actually gonna jump a video here because I think we're talking about something that is important to remember, and that's going to be Lady Gaga addresses the harsh Joker 2 reviews, and she says, "Look, people just sometimes don't like some things, and that's okay." Right? She basically goes through the interview and said, "Look, I did my best with what I was given. I tried to put forward something that I thought people would like. It turns out they didn't, you know, and that sucks. But that just gives me notes for next time when I try to do something for further in the acting sphere. I try to make something better the next time." And you know what? That's a very mature attitude to take, though, where she's like, "Yeah, I acknowledge."
Why do you have to be so great?
Right?
Like first you're dressing in whatever you want to wear because you have millions of fans and people like your music because you put out good music.
Yep.
And then you go put out a bad movie and then you own it.
Yeah.
I really don't want to like you, but I love you. You're a great person.
That's it, right?
In
like
every sense of the word. Right back at Steven Spielberg. Like, that is honor. I can respect a person that eats their failures.
Yeah. And you know what? And she kind of went like, "Okay, so I've learned for next time," right? And that is really good. That's it, right?
It's beautiful. It's amazing. Like, shout out to Lady Gaga. For sure. That's exactly what we ask. I mean, Tim Dillon was doing the exact same thing, and everybody was giving him shit. He was like, "No, that movie sucked. I was a part of it. I hated being a part of it. It sucked." And now Lady Gaga is saying, like, she loved being a part of it, but it didn't work. She'll learn.
That's it. And that's really all you can ask, right? I mean, look.
That is all I ask. That is literally the only thing I am asking of Kathleen. That's the only thing I'm asking of Bobby Iger. It's the only thing I'm asking of the guys over at Apple, the guys at Netflix. I am not saying jump off a bridge and disappear. I am saying say you're sorry and do better tomorrow. That's it. Always, that's it.
That's it. And I mean, look, I think accepting that things, you know, are not always going to go perfectly and that you're going to have to recreate, you know, you're going to have to create things again sometimes and you're going to have to experiment and fail. I mean, that's the hallmark of how we learn, right? I mean, Silicon Valley's motto is fail faster, right?
The Marine Corps mentality. Every plan fails first contact.
That's it, right?
Like, that's how it goes, and that's fine. The goal is not 100% success rate. The goal is 70% good judgment.
Yeah.
If you did 70% everything the best you could and it still failed, you did your best. I don't care. I'm not going to fail you. I'm not a strict teacher. I am an asshole when it comes to people saying that I'm the asshole for having a problem with bad content.
And I'm going to say this. Look, my dream in film is not perfection. It's progression towards that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's acknowledgement of failure while saying we can do better. It's saying we know we weren't going to give you heaven on earth, but we tried. Now, what didn't you like about it so we can try again tomorrow?
That's it. So I think those two, I think those two attitudes that we just saw there dovetail very nicely.
Absolutely. And I think that goes to the greater point of, like, people are like canceling and saying, like, for all these, the media, the world that we live in now, it's like either you nail it on the first try or you get out. And that's the worst version of everything. Like, name a kid that was born perfect. You can't.
I mean, other than us.
Try to name Jesus, everybody will argue with you.
No, I mean, other than, you know, the two of us being born perfect, but, you know.
No, I don't want that. And that's really my big point. The reason why I say the only thing I'm ever asking for is sorry and do better tomorrow is because that's the only thing I will ever give anyone. Like if somebody says I wronged them, I will say sorry and do better tomorrow, but I'm not going to die on my sword for you unless I said I was. Like I'm a man of my word. That's why I will never promise my sword to anyone unless I really feel like it.
Yeah. All right. So this one I pulled specifically for you. Okay, Pose Padosis. Anthony Mackie clarifies his viral Captain America comment, I'm a proud American. So the actor turned heads when he previously said, to me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term America should be one of those representations. And, this, what he says here, I think is good. And then I want to go through, Posapatos' opinion on this because I think it's a good take. So let me be clear about this. I'm a proud American. Taking on the shield of a hero like Cap is an honor of a lifetime, Mackie wrote on Instagram stories Tuesday. I have the utmost respect for those who serve and those who served our country. Cap has universal characteristics that people all over the world can relate to. To me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term America should be one of those representations. Mackie said while on stage in Rome to promote Disney's upcoming Captain America Brave New World. The 1-minute clip of the interview is filmed and posted by several attendees online. It's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity, Mackie continued. Someone who is trustworthy and dependable. Now, I think the point, what I am taking away from this, and this is my opinion, right, is that what he's saying is the traits that make Captain America good are universally good things. They're not uniquely American things. And I think the fact that America happened to produce Captain America, if you will, is something that, it just where he's from, not that these are wholly American traits. I think that's what I take from it.
Oh, I love that. I do. Honor, courage, commitment, honor, dependability, integrity. I mean,
yeah,
that's what he stands for, right? Wrong. Name another nation that did what America did in 1941.
Canada.
No. Canada was sending their resources to Britain from 1936 all the way. They had always been a part of the war effort the entire time. America said, we're not playing your games. We don't want to. And then Japan said, you're playing our games, and they thought that or actually stood for something. And then they got nuked about it. The problem that a lot of people have with America is that the term sleeping giant doesn't necessarily mean that the thing you wake up is going to be nice to everyone. The term sleeping giant meant that if you wake up America, America's going to lash out and kill you all. End of story. There's enough of them to want to do that, to be able to do that, and they will support their effort like nothing else in this world has ever seen. And the reason why I say that Captain America stands truly and solely for America is because name another nation that has produced anything equal to what America has produced. Like, America inspired the 1790s revolution of France, inspired the independence of Canada, Mexico. Like, there is no revolution from the British Empire without the United States of America declaring war and independence. No other nation had sought that kind of independence with any actual credence against the British East India Trading Company and the British Empire. until America. Everybody that tried was either already a nation state, see Russian Empire, French Empire, Spanish Empire, but those were all empires propagated by the Roman Catholic Church. That they didn't produce heroes. They produced tyrants and kings and empires that conquered the entire nation. What did America produce? It produced men and women who say, no, it's not about tyranny. It's about freedom for everyone. And yeah, while we lied in 1775, we fixed ourselves by 1865. Name another nation, right? Like there are still nations in this world today aggressively propagating slavery for whatever reason that they want. All of them are ashamed of themselves because America made nations, empires bow. Like, name another group of people in the entire world that has made kings bow and pay taxes to them. That's what America represents. Like, I do understand the issues with all of the things America's done wrong, but we've done them wrong better than everybody else, and we're the only nation that has ever changed. Everybody else had to be forced to implement parliament. Everybody else had to be forced to implement some variation of constitution, but only in America do you have the First Amendment right to freedom and the Second Amendment right to defend said freedom. That's what Captain America stands for. He doesn't stand for American idealism. No, he stands for American independence from everything, including the American government. It never had anything to do with the nation's ideals. And it had everything to do with what the ideal of the nation was. You are a human being. You have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and Cap will beat anyone who says otherwise.
Okay.
No other nation says that. That's why it's the Captain of America, not the Captain of Canada, who doesn't stand for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It stands for maple syrup, I think.
No. So Captain Canada, let's bring him up, who is an actual character. Let's try to bring this over. Here we go. Here we go. His duty is to protect the nation of Canada and the freedoms it stands for. So there we go. Because we have our own set of freedoms that are slightly different than yours, but it's all good.
Right, but see, this is the cornerstone of Captain America versus Captain of the World versus Captain of the populations and the populace. America doesn't have the freedom of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is an inherent quality of persondom that you as an individual in this world that breathes has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I 100% agree that America, the nation, America, the laws do not stand for that. And that's what Cap was supposed to represent. It's not about what the current America represents. It's about what America originally stood for: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. All you need to do to write a good Captain America is make him beat up anyone who tries to prevent those three things. And that's the American credo. And if we let anyone change what America stands for, then suddenly America owes a bunch of people a bunch of stuff it never owed, and no other nation owes anyone else. America started because it believed in individual independence. Captain America is the epitome of what an individual American would do with ultimate power: continue to be an American that does their job. That's it.
All right.
Everything else is, we get Elon Musk, we get Bill Gates, We get Bob Iger. Like when the tyrants think that they know better than everybody else, they've officially escaped America and become tyrants, just like all the things America said it doesn't stand for. We only stand against tyranny and then we stop. Because if we go any further, we become the tyrants that we just said we wanted to stop.
Fair
and
enough.
that's what Cap always did, is he always stopped after he said, no, you don't tell them what to do. And they said, well, we're going to. And then he took all their guns and he said, okay, now what are you going to do? And then they said, well, I guess they can do what they want to do. And he's like, all right, cool. And he went back. He didn't beat them up further. He didn't imprison them further. He didn't teabag his enemies. He said, stop being a bully. And when they stopped, he's like, all right, let's go get popcorn. That's the line. The line is don't be a bully. And then once you go past that, you're the bully.
Well, hold on. Give me 1 second here because I think I've got an image.
Is there an image of Cap teabagging Red Skull?
There is an image of Cap teabagging Red Skull. I can't show it on YouTube because, clearly.
They might get us kicked off Halo.
Yeah, exactly. All right. But guys, I think that is all we have time for tonight. I want to thank Poe Zapatos as always. Dude, you're amazing in there. I look forward to seeing your guys' comments further along the line. I am Corey on Witch in Residence. Good night.